address some of the things that were talked about. I guess some of the biggest misunderstanding here is that Africa is actually 54 countries, and every country is different. Like I go to certain parts of Africa and I freak out. It's completely different. Sometimes I don't even understand culturally what goes on in other parts of Africa. So I think that's where the missing piece is, that a lot of the guys are not understanding that really we're not the same people. We're like different people with different languages and cultures, just all mixed up together. Like at least here in the US, there's some uniformity. If you're black, you're black, and there's a lot of things, even if you have some differences. So what is true for Kenya might not be true for Ghana. Also, one of the things towards the end that they talked about that I really wanted to bring up is the idea that Kenyan men hate Black Americans. And I'll talk about this in human action. Like men are supposed to uh, look for resources, right? Men look for resources. We there's a scarce amount of resource, and part of economics and our existence is that we have to look for resources, right? So you live in the US to go to Africa for a woman is you're also going for a scarce resource. And this is not very unique to Kenya. This happens in every country you go to. The men of any country don't like you when you come for their women. This is universal across the board. Not so much like in the US, because in the US men don't really care about the women like that. But uh, I understand what the Kenyan lady said, that the men are mean and jealous. Everybody's gonna be mean to you if you're coming in there and you're fucking their women. This is just human nature, okay? We'll talk about this when we get into human action. But if you really feel like Kenyan men are wrong for thinking that way, then you don't know what men are. It's part of men for us to guard, to be protective, and men are gonna hate foreigners coming in and, of course, smacking their women, right? It's human nature. And I think this will happen across the board in every developing country. I've seen this in Colombia myself. Like Colombian men don't like gringos coming after their women and all that stuff. They don't do anything to you, but at least they don't like it. So what is going to happen to you if this happens in Africa? Nothing, really nothing. You might have some guys give you mean services, some guys not help you out when you need the help, maybe some Uber guys not pick you up, but these are very rare cases. They should not stop you from traveling. Shout out to you, my Sudanese brother. Come on, how you doing, my man? So yeah, I think if you were listening to that stream, you're thinking, "Oh my God, I'm not going to Africa." You should go to Africa. Okay, you guys shouldn't worry about that part. That is just men being men. The men are always gonna be, they're gonna be mean. It's okay, but I don't think there's a joint national um, or collective mindset to hate everyone that is not from that place. I don't think that is true. I don't think it's collective. I think it's more on an individual basis. It's more leaning towards jealousy, and that is very common everywhere you go. I mean, I see that in almost every country that I travel to. Like when you're going with the women, the men are gonna look at you a certain way, but that doesn't mean that it's a dangerous place for Black Americans to travel to. It's not. Of course, Kenya is going through some transformation with a lot of brothers going there now, and it's been in a spotlight. So obviously, these guys are going to be a little bit sensitive to foreigners coming in, but I don't think it's as dire as that lady said in that stream. Also, one thing that I want people to understand is that uh, I haven't, for most of the things I heard, I have personally not experienced it. Like I haven't had issues with people treating me badly just because I'm not from a particular tribe or a particular place. Africa is really heavily a class system. So if you hang around if you hang around brokies, you're gonna receive brokey treatment, which is why I say get your money up, build good connections wherever you travel. Um, but travel also, when you're a foreigner, there's a magnet, right? Everybody that is a gringo is a magnet they are tourist traps. People who want to get your money. People want to get your money. People want to get your resources. These are very undeveloped places. Um, no, why do the white men get a lot more preferential treatment over there in Kenya and parts of East Africa? Uh, it's because of not because these people hate themselves. It's because of a perceived thought that Europeans have money. So this is all connected to money. It's a perceived thought that Africans have thought this through over the years, that people from Europe have money, and that includes their own citizens that have moved to Europe or America to work. So when you go there and you are resourceful, the treatment towards you changes drastically. And I think the women think the men hate gringos are coming, but I don't think it's really any particular hate that goes on over there. I think it's just men trying to guard their territories and not feeling like foreigners are coming in and using their women. It's all it is. They give the white men passes because they just think white men have money, and it's not exactly true. I don't think that is true, but for some reason they think white folks have money, and most of the families will welcome white folks marrying into their families because they think that they're going to escape that poverty. So this is a money thing. I don't think there's like a literature out there that sick like takes black Americans and put them on one side and say, hey, we don't like this kind, but we like this kind. It's very common for I'm West African. It's very common for us to have that treatment in in Kenya and in Uganda, because their women tend to like West African men, especially Nigerians and Ghanaians. So we get that treatment too. Like when we go over there, we get it. And I think the reason they see it that way is because the West African men tend to be very masculine. They tend to really go after money. They have some swag to them. So this all circles back to masculinity. It's a money thing, and the gentleman that we did a stream on yesterday, like the one that we talked about yesterday, he really possessed a lot of feminine features. I mean, you guys went through the stream with me yesterday, so you saw that he really presented a feminine feature that really doesn't fly with a lot of African women. Also, I think he picked wrong. He didn't pick the right person. I would even pick that person for activities, let alone commit to a marriage. So, and he moved very fast. I mean, they got an apartment 3 days into that relationship. That is not something you want to do. Let me take some of your comments. Okay, so it's my brother from South Sudan, South Sudan, especially the Dinka and the Nuer tribe, are extremely against their women. Yeah, they are. The tribal wars have been in Africa too. I think that's another thing that a lot of Western guys don't understand, that we can even be in the same country and there's two tribes that don't like each other, right? So that is also there. But if you listen to the BMT stream, and that was a good one, I give it to him. Good job there. The You might have the overwhelming consensus was don't go to Africa and these guys are not gonna welcome you. And I think that is not true. That it's position yourself well financially. If you position yourself well financially, build some ground contacts, because ground game is what wins the race. Build some ground contact, get some guys that are in those places, and they will help you navigate those territories. Uh, Kenya is 100 times safer than Colombia, guys. I keep saying this all the time. You sleep on Colombia, you might end up in a coffin. You don't have that problem in Kenya. In Kenya, you're pretty much free. There's nobody that is gonna come after you. Same with Ghana. I can speak highly of Ghana because I'm from Ghana, and we don't have any. I think the Muzungu problem is much less in West Africa than it is in East Africa. So we don't give like white people the extra preferential treatment that you're seeing in Kenya. I think in Ghana it's pretty much even. It's we welcome everybody that comes in there, but you still have to separate yourself from the dusties and present yourself well and be in the right class of people. Don't go there and just be with the bums. Watch out for where you go to hang out, the clubs you pick up, the clubs you pick, the restaurants you eat at. So you got to come with a bit of class there. Don't just go and pick stuff off the street. Those are the few things that will really differ. But yeah, the only part that I disagree is like there's this innate hatred for Black Americans. That's not true. I think you guys can go there and do your own thing. Yeah, do your own thing. Just don't do a Jerello. When you do things like a Jerello, that's when you really run into a lot of trouble.